Face reality, people. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative? Dead.
Media is nothing but neural trigger response and viral conditioning.
Wait, what are you two talking about?
Tom Cruise needs to set up a whole fucking thing where he's like, "Oh, baby, it's over. I lost all my money. We're bankrupt. I lost all of it. It's all gone. I had a secret gambling addiction. Oh, it's all gone. Or maybe not use gambling addiction. Maybe use something like, no, something where he loses all his money. Just like Hester. So she's like, that's why I didn't say forever, honey. I'm out of here. Bye." She just sleeps. He needs a test mode. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, Eyes Wide Shut. It's 99, right? 1999. Stanley Kubrick. Am I saying that right? Yes, Kubrick. All right, there. Stanley Kubrick. Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, who's not that much into it. It's mainly about Tom Cruise. This is a solid horror movie. I think not just plot-wise horror and, some of the horror elements, someone's following you around or weird sex rituals. All right. Anything like that. People going missing, people dying. Not just that, but also he is essentially attacking maybe all of our psychology. He's attacking it, like the real scary stuff, right? Of like sexual insecurities, maybe insecurities in regards to a partner, right? Like the movie's like, like even if you're just a random Joe watching, like, huh, damn, what if? Like, damn, do women think like that? Fuck. Yeah, do men think like that? Fuck. Like, it's very meant to scare you to the core, I think, which is, the best kind of horror because usually it reveals something about yourself. I think that's what makes the movie so interesting. Not to mention, the conspiracies and stuff on top of that people like to go into. It's just like, yeah, it's a pretty good horror movie, man. Once again, a little spooky though. If you can't handle your shit, maybe don't watch this one. But if you can, this is a legit horror movie. And I'd 100% recommend it. Like I said, I think it digs at people's own side, like the audience member's psyche. It scares them a bit because of the idea of like, roles and then, kind of betrayals of those roles in regards to, especially with sexuality. Some of the scariest stuff for humans on the planet, right? The idea of a spouse or a partner sleeping around or anything like that. Pretty sure that scares the fuck. That can scare the shit out of people, right? Like some real horror. But, whatever. Even also the idea of paranoia is also in here, which leans more into the conspiracy stuff, where it's like wherever Tom Cruise is going throughout this movie, it feels like they were a part of the weird sex party that's in the middle of the movie. Like that thing that was a crescendo, like, holy fuck, we're revealing the big bad spooky thing, wasn't even. It's like, yeah, but there's more movie. Keep watching, and they kind of like put more fear into you, or even into the character of Tom Cruise, because he's like learning more and more, like revealing more and more. He's like, oh shit, am I just like, am I being fucked with by like everyone I meet right now? Like, is this you? Are you working for them too? Like, what's going on here? It's like so. It's like a mind fuck kind of. That's just, I mean, it's great horror to me. If you can handle your shit. If you can't, this movie's, you're too sensitive for this movie, I guess. But it definitely, it's trying to scare you on the psychological level, trying to scare you. Want to say anything, Jesse? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, this movie was. I didn't think of it as a horror movie, but the way you just described it, um, yes, I definitely see it now. And what I did watch was precisely what you were saying about like the insecurities of like
Yeah.
marriage. Like that's what I really saw about like and he wasn't necessarily at that place. Like he started out very confident about things.
Yeah.
Um but but the way that they made his character seem oblivious to that like that women can lust, like he was like, no, and then he goes like his whole world turned around when he said, I know you, and then she just flipped it all around and she explained exactly an incident where like well actually she said that she was ready to leave everything, her family, everything for this guy at this one point in time, and it passed, it didn't happen, but that's you know it opened his eyes that like it could um that she's that it is possible,
Yeah.
basically, like she didn't do it, it's possible, and she was honest with him about it at that moment. I guess she was high, but like still, uh and then he couldn't stop thinking about it throughout the whole movie. He was visualizing it.
Oh yeah.
And so that tells you that this is really what the whole movie's about, right? It's
Mm.
not just because she didn't go through with it. She just told him what she thought about, and and yet in his mind it was very real. like just as bad as much as if it happened, it kept repeating over and over,
Yeah.
and uh and then yeah, so it's that part, and then she had a dream that she was with so many men at this place. She didn't even know how many.
While
Uh,
laughing at
it
Tom
was
Cruise. While
it
laughing at him. God
it
damn it.
was what she told him about that. She had just woken up, yeah, giggling from a dream, which like obviously she was in the middle of all that in her dream. But it was, see, that really connects with like he had just come from this place, which was was exactly what she was describing. So I,
Hmm.
I was like wondering, like, was she actually there? Like, they didn't make the timing where she could have gotten there and back, but it almost makes you think, like, maybe she was there or at a different time or whatever. And 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 then when you realize, okay, all of these things, he sees her in his mind,
Hmm.
but there's a lot of guilt or something. There's something there about like, well, he had just come from a party like that, which was right after he was at a prostitute's house. Whether he didn't go through with it, whatever. But um, there's all of these things that like he he found temptation, and he didn't really um, like whether he went through it or not. Like he was also willing to, like he was about to many times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's it, it all of that ends up like eroding like his mind basically. It's just like he's completely like a messed up person in his mind. So yeah, I think I think that was like, I guess what you called the horror is yeah.
The definition
Yeah.
of I don't even think he was willing to I don't even think he had necessarily had those thoughts, at least not yet, of like other women in that way. I don't even think he's had like I actually believe when he said I don't have those thoughts when she asked him like, well, if this is what men think like, then what do you do? Are you thinking about women like that? He's like, I don't do that. I actually believe him based on the character we see because after he hears about his wife, he's like, all of a sudden he lets loose. He's just like, I'm willing to like risk like in these kind of sexual engagements with people. I guess maybe fate saves him to some degree. right? He kind of saves him in these scenarios. Like what was it? It was a phone call when he was with the one girl, right? The
Yeah.
first girl. Uh,
Yeah.
then he tried to sleep with her roommate, and he's like, "Oh no, I gotta stop you. She has HIV." Right?
Yeah.
Uh, Jesus Christ. Is the newspaper like almost died today or some shit like that? Was almost killed today. I forgot the fucking newspaper clipping thing, but that was like bizarre as fuck. But whatever. Uh, everything in Tom Cruise's life in this movie gets absolutely shit on, but maybe for a reason. It gets broken down, every aspect of it, from him conversating with Nicole Kidman like in the beginning of the movie, where she's even breaking down like what he does for a living, like his doctor job, right? It's like, you're telling me you don't think about sex while you're rubbing these women's breasts? It's like, no. Do you think they're thinking about it? It's like she's breaking down his shit. And then obviously the
Mhm.
whole crazy night this guy has and day after, actually, it's all breaking down these structures that he felt like were built up. Like, oh, I have a stable life with a stable wife and a stable job and all this shit. And it all just gets, the idea of it all gets like thrown for a loop. And now they're walking out the other side. And it isn't me and you forever. It's, well, we'll talk about that someday. And he's like, forever, right? He's like, well, let's talk about that later. So like it's almost like they both went on a journey or something, kind of. Maybe she did too. Who knows? Uh,
Well, that all fits like so. So Eyes Wide Shut. So
mm,
they're intentionally closing their eyes to things, which he is now much more aware. But like he probably would rather have his eyes closed, right? Like he was living much better, or he felt better before. But I think I think when I see I do think your um his character does fit where maybe he wasn't doing things before. Like, but at the same time, when she told him all that, he had just said, "I don't lie. Like, I'm not lying to you," and he had actually was lying to her because he didn't mention what was going on with
yeah,
the you know, the person who had overdosed. And you could kind of understand why you would not like go into those details, but
yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a theme of repeated deception among the two,
Mm.
and I think that's a part of it. Like, yeah, he wasn't maybe cheating before, but like they just like he's always like he's deceived. They're there in a small way, but then like he just is constantly like lying. Like okay, he's not gonna tell her he's with a prostitute, but like like he is repeatedly lying,
Yeah,
right? And he doesn't tell her about a lot of things until eventually he does.
yeah.
Yeah, I think all of that is just a mess.
Until the creepy mask makes its way home, then it's like, all right, I'm telling you everything. Fuck. Man, that could be some deeper metaphor there, man. With like the
Well,
more he's lying and being deceptive in a way, it's like maybe pulling her further and further into some weird shit. Who knows?
mhm.
And
and
then he
and
finally says
where
something and
did
they
the
finally
mask
talk about it.
arrive? How did
I don't
I,
know.
I didn't think it just showed up though. I think what um so there was the first night, or there was a night that he rented it. He came back,
Hmm.
and he went on with his day, except in the morning he went to return the outfit. So by that time, by when he went to return it, it had already separated from him. So I think she found out, like, or at least she found the mask. She
How
knew.
the? Did he go home that day? He did go home, didn't he?
Yeah, he went home.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
went
Okay.
home. I
and then
mean,
she
it
found
doesn't
it and
show
put
him
it
like
there.
arrive with the mask, so maybe he left in his car. I don't know what like where, but
He took it off
he must.
in the party when he got caught, right? And
Yeah,
then I assume he took the taxi back or something like that, right? The guy who made wait. The taxi driver he made wait outside the gates or whatever. I assume he took that taxi back to the city,
right, right.
and then yeah, I guess he went home.
Yeah, so he goes home, arrives like 4 in the morning, whatever. But I assume like he just like she saw it like with the other stuff because he has his other clothes, right? Like the hood. So they're supposed to be together, the two items. And
Yeah,
so I figured she saw it and she just moved it, right? She didn't say nothing. So she had, I think at some point she had some awareness. And so if she knew not all the details, but she sees he has this mask, then when he arrives, I'm thinking he feels like he got caught. Like,
mm,
and he just confesses to all of it.
really.
He's like,
I
he's
thought
already
he was
caught.
thinking that she was at the party somehow. Like
I,
she's a part of the
yeah,
conspiracy, not just my wife caught me, but also like, oh, she's a part of the fucking conspiracy. She's at that party. Like, why else would she be able to
yeah,
describe the thing that he just like witnessed? Like, how would she describe that
yeah,
like that? So like,
yeah.
but we don't know
I
as an
did think
audience,
about
man.
that too. Yeah, but I don't know. It's possible.
This is
That
one of those movies I'd love to hear from any if anyone sees this video and makes it to this part. Like, I'd love to hear comments on like because
yeah,
there's got to be like theories upon theories with this thing, especially that the guy died too. Like this was his last
yeah,
movie. It's like there's so many like layers of this real life weirdness happening, and then there's with the weirdness within the movie itself. That's also fucking crazy. I'd be curious because
well, the killing people off party, right? Like,
yeah,
like to keep secrets.
I think that's a little too. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going there, but I'm sure there's. I'm
Yeah,
very sure the
it, that
theory's out there. 100%.
that part isn't as interesting to me because it's not really as concrete.
Yeah,
You know,
but
it's
no.
it's just implied, but like it probably. I mean, it looks like it's all there, but yeah, I think the psychological part was much more impactful.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to be using. Although I will listen to any types of theories about it, but I'm going off of that. That's what I see when I watch the movie is kind of the horror level, the horror movie level of what Tom Cruise is going through, but also they're trying. I think they're definitely trying to peel out the audience's psychology a bit, especially into just the idea of sexuality and promiscuity and relationships and all that shit, and and conspiracy, right, or like paranoia, if you will. So I'm judging on that, and for me, this movie gets a score of I think 7.7, 7.7, 7.8. I think it's a
Oh,
solid score for this movie. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. I don't think it's in the greatness territory, but it's I think like it kind of it's very singular, if you will. Like not many movies like this, if any, which makes that interesting to me. But hmm, if I could see Kubrick's blueprint for it and really like
mm,
navigate that and understand it more, I'm sure the grade would go up. Because I definitely see elements that are being thrown at me. It's just I just don't know exactly. So this I'm calling it 7.7, 7.8, as in it's just floating there, right? It's a floating score right now because it could change if I learn something. Maybe someone in the audience tells me, or I look up a documentary or something, right? So I
okay,
recommend. There's my score. Good.
okay. I have some closing thoughts on this because I think there's some things that are very open ended here,
Hmm.
and and I uh and I was joking around I was joking around saying like, yeah, he really needs to get a paternity test, but but that's like saying that like she probably like earlier in the dance she was really enamored with this guy. She was drunk, but she was enamored with this guy, and then all of these
Mhm.
things that she said made me. Then I commented, to get a paternity test, but when the whole thing ends, like I'm thinking, well, there's no hard evidence that she actually ever acted on this stuff, right? But you said maybe she's part of the events, right? They're all a
Yeah,
mess. You don't know.
yeah.
She could have been there, and she described it so well that that like how else is she gonna come up with this? But
Mm.
so so maybe that is the evidence. But if I think there is no evidence, am I just closing my eyes to that like one thing? I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
like what do you think? Like, is it just open ended, or like did she ever act on that stuff?
I think it's open ended, and that's not even the point. The point's to like, I think it's a point to kind of scare you through the eyes of Tom Cruise. Like,
Yeah.
even if, like, let's say like she says she didn't sleep with the Navy guy, right? But that still had the same, like, a psychological impact, like she did almost. Maybe even
Hmm.
worse. Might even be worse. That he's just like, dang, like, did she? Did she not? And then
Yeah.
the thing with the party as well, her describing it like that, or I think she told him about the guy trying to fuck her, right? The guy dancing she danced with, right? Didn't she say that? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
he was trying to fuck me,
Yeah.
basically. Right? It's like, oh, you don't think women have like can be as lustful as men, huh? And she's like, oh, it's like I think she starts laughing at him and tells him that story, right? Of the Navy guy, and it's like the seed was planted. And I think the seed was attempted to be planted not just in the character of Tom Cruise, but I think the audience too.
Yeah.
Mainly men, I would think. But yet, we turn our brains off to it so we don't fucking, you know, jump out of a window.
So so that's where I'm thinking like, she in a way she destroyed him by putting those like pictures in his mind in a way. Like she didn't literally, but
Yeah.
that completely collapsed his mind frame. And would the whole thing have been better to just be ignorant of that? I don't know. But I think that's the title.
Fair enough. That works, man. Eyes wide shut. That works. I mean, Tom Cruise might be like in the mindset of, damn, I wish I never did any of this shit. But for me, and what it represents, like the even like they probably go, this might be a reach or whatever, but like, oh, Alice in Wonderland, his wife's name's Alice, right? And you go through the rabbit hole and all that shit. Like, if it represented that, I'd be like, okay, I personally would be like, I would chase down the rabbit hole. It just says that's just my nature, man. I would. But I do understand where it's like, damn, I didn't want to know that. Tom Cruise is like, I didn't want to know any of this shit. Fuck. I don't even think he really wanted to cheat on his wife either. I think he just like almost was forcing himself to try it just to make the attempt, just to feel like he has
Mhm.
one up on her or something. like, oh, you did it? Well, I do it too. See, right? Meanwhile, I don't even know how much he actually wanted to do anything sexual with anyone. But I don't know. I don't know. It's like you said. I think it's up in the air, but there might be some structure thing that they're pulling us towards. Just we don't have the fucking decoder ring for it. We just don't. And Kubrick obviously passed away. But I think there's something there. There's something to it. But I can't put my finger on it, and I don't know exactly the depths of the details on this one. But I don't mind. I don't mind open-ended shit. I like shit like that. Just unless it's perfect blue, then I don't. Uh, all right. Any other words you want to say, Jesse, before I end this? No. All right.
But no, it wrecked me.
Yeah. All right, there you go. Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, 1999. 100% recommend. Please check it out and tell me your thoughts on it. Except I'm not Jeremy Johns where I just ignore your comments. Like I'll actually read your comments. Anyways, there you go.